second.
Yeah.
So that it'll start.
Perfect. Thank you. Good luck, Gary. Thank you again for all of this.
Of course.
All right.
There we go.
Perfect. I need to hit unlocked. Hey, yeah, okay.
There you go.
And then stop. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today, whether it be today or tonight, wherever you might be. I know it's December and we're all really itching to get to the holidays. I am sure my lovely co-host has something fabulous planned, as well as yourself. But right now, we really stand at such a pivotal moment in the real estate sector, where digital transformation is shaping really the future of real estate professionals. This is such an important, albeit a huge discussion to have as we draw to the end of 2023. But what we want this today to be is an amazing discussion around the tools out there that can be utilized to make your day-to-days a bit easier. So if you want to use the chat function throughout, let us know your thoughts. What do you think of the content being presented and the changes that are coming? And are you doing anything that's using this advanced technology that is changing your work life that could help others? I have the wonderful Daniela Ziardo from boxbrownie.com HQ running our chats today. So please chat away. We're looking forward to it. So thank you, Danny, for joining us. And thank you for you guys for joining us. What you've done in the midst of even a very busy December is taking the first step to foster efficiency in this fast approaching tech forward real estate space. So congratulations. With me today to celebrate this, as well as explain and elaborate on some of the technologies and changes that we know are coming, is the wonderful Gary Parker from Lofty. How are you going, Gary?
I am fantastic. How are you, Alannah?
I'm so great. It's such a wonderful day. It's been a bit of a dreary day here in London. I'm based in London, and I think maybe your home state might be a little bit more sunny than mine at the moment, but it's been wonderful.
Arizona's a little sunnier than England. Yes, that's right.
Yeah, just a little bit. Now, Gary, I can see you guys have had some pretty lofty changes of late, so I'm going to leave you to explain who Lofty is and what you guys do.
Well, Lofty is our new name, but we've been around for a long time now. You probably heard about us. We were Chime up until about 3 weeks ago. And then, you know what? We've added a bunch of really cool stuff. And what we figured out is that we have lofty ambitions. And we wanted to take our name out of the just CRM world, if you will, because there's so much more to what we do. You know, we're really kind of that all-in-one solution, and I know a lot of people say that, but we're doing the everything that's necessary from capturing the lead to getting the sale, right? It's everything in between, and that it works for agents and teams and brokers, and that includes automating your marketing programs, making sure that you're out in front of people on a regular basis so they don't forget about you. And then streamlining the sales process, you know, I mean, and what I mean by that is making sure that the things that need to get done from start to finish are done on time. Everybody who needs to be a part of that is a part of that. And there are no delays so that you can satisfy that customer and then hopefully get the referral, you know, or move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I could definitely see why they're wanting to move away from just kind of being known as a CRM. That is such a huge, like what you guys do covers so much. And, you know, we love Lofty, and I know so many of our clients do. What I will say that in our respective fields, Lofty and boxbrownie.com, we're both experts that are constantly having to adapt to the tech space, market demand, changes thrown our way. Now, Gary, there is a few quite big differences between my company and your company, but one of the things that we really do share is our combined love for the real estate industry that we are in. We met on the road earlier this year, I think back in Vegas. And what I will say is every time I meet the Lofty gang, there's so much like love for their customers as well as energy. So thank you for joining us today, Gary. It's such an honor to have you.
Of course. You know, if I can interrupt for just a second, you just made me think of something. You just made me think of something. You said, you know what, we're both innovators and we're both great for the real estate space and tech forward and all that. But we're different in what we do. I think the analogy that comes to mind is you're the artist and we are the gallery. Do you know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Yeah,
yeah, I love that.
you're creating all the amazing art, and we're making sure that the world gets to see it. So we're super happy to team with you guys over there, Boston
Yeah.
Brownie.
I will
You're a
say this,
favorite.
when I was in grade 4, I failed art. So the fact that I'm being called an artist right now, I'm obsessed. So thank you. Now, for those of you who have not heard of boxbrownie.com before, or you're new to real estate, or you've been a client for ours for years, hello. My name is Alannah Silva, and I am one of the many staff members we have that work at boxbrownie.com. And it's such a privilege to be here to talk to you guys, especially to be able to connect like this. So just a little bit of an explainer about who we are and what we do if you don't know. We are a bit of a world leader in property marketing. As Gary said before, I guess we're the artists behind the listing. So what we do is we specialize in imagery you would need to get your house MLS ready. So that could be anything from taking a beautiful image like the one on the screen, that it's a nice image, the before shot, but that after shot is so romantic and you fall in love with it instantly. And that's kind of how we like to do it. So we like to make things really pretty. In 2023, we have a team of about 4 that are on the road, but we went to 55 events, and I'm sure Gary and you and your team went to a fair few in-person events. And we love connecting with everyone, in person. We have a team, some in Australia, some in England, some in America. But what we found to be a common technology a common theme at these events, across the 4 continents we went to the events, is technology and the fear that kind of comes with these advancements. It was a huge booth topic. Gary, you've obviously had a lot of changes happen as well. So it is something that is kind of at the forefront of people's mind already. And I guess what we're here to say is the industry that we know and love is undergoing a massive change. There's no doubt about it. A profound change with an abundance of opportunity, though, I will say. Traditional practices are being totally reshaped with technological advancements, which means that the way we market properties, make our connection and foster relationships, being revolutionized, which is really exciting and really huge. And it is going to make your day-to-day quicker, better, more efficient. But it is very important to state that it is really normal to feel this level of uncertainty, apprehension about it. Anxiety surrounding change is definitely something that's not new. We're going to wind back a few years. Well, I guess maybe 100 years now. Now, Gary, I was definitely not around for this one. I'm confident you weren't either. But in 1589,
it was 2 years before. Yeah, it was 2 years
2 years
before.
Okay. So 2 years before you were born. So back in 1589, Queen Elizabeth I refused to grant a patent for mechanical knitting machine, which is a little bit wild, fearing the impact, the livelihood of knitters. Now, in hindsight, it's pretty easy to judge, to say that was, maybe a little bit silly, but, it's such a fear that we have now. It's the fear of potential replacements, or all of that comes to mind when we talk about these great, big technological advancements we've had this year. Now, the mechanical knitting machine eventually spearheaded the Industrial Revolution. And as a result, it was explosive for the economy, driving globalization, expanding into many markets, including the real estate market itself. If we want to, wind forward maybe to our time, a little bit more relevant, I think we were both here for the iPhone, Gary. I think we've been around for long enough. But I don't know if you remember when the iPhone went from having a button to not having a button. That was big at the time because so many people were not a fan of that. I probably don't remember that as much as like any changes there were to social media apps, because when 2013, I would have been about 15, 16. And if anyone changed Instagram or Snapchat or Messenger, I was very cranky. So I absolutely can relate that when I think about these changes and how it may affect our day to day. But the good news is with the release of the iPhone came AirDrop, which is super handy, as well as the modern design. And a lot of those actually came off the back of decades worth of listening to feedback and striving for innovation, which is, I guess, the main thing is all of the changes that are happening at the moment have been designed with efficiency in mind. So the huge changes to tech over the 50 years in the real estate industry really is just a result of listening to what you guys say. And Gary, I'm sure you hear a lot of complaints day to day about inefficiencies and things that could be better. I have no doubt about it. But this real estate market we know and love right now in the United States of America alone is estimated to be around $222 billion. So, like Queen Elizabeth I, because we're all royals. Today we find ourselves, I guess, of the dawn of a new era, experiencing anything from artificial intelligence to blockchain-enabled transactions. The digital landscape is reshaping the way that we navigate the world. I think this question I have on the screen is so important because there is naturally going to be some level of distrust and hesitance about technological advancements, whether it's from us or whether it's from our clients. So it's really important for us to stay in the know about anything on the horizon. With the question being in mind, if you aren't staying afloat now, what are you going to do when technology takes another huge step forward? Because we know there's been some massive changes this year. What's going to happen when the next thing comes in? Now, I do want to relate it, I guess, a little bit to the boxbrownie.com story. Now, Gary, I know you've met Brad a few times. Brad, many times. Brad is a character. We love Brad. Shout out Brad. But his story is really amazing, and it really embodies this question. What I love about Brad's story is, so Brad was a real estate photographer. So that's how it began his business. Back in the days where, you were printing it, so there was no online MLS. You were taking it to the newspapers. Everything was printed. Then the dawn of the technology, the dawn of the internet kind of came, and he was getting busier and simply knew he couldn't keep up with demand without some help. He was shooting all day, going home to edit all night. So what Brad did not only helped his own business, but it also helped so many other people with innovation of boxbrownie.com. Boxbrownie.com was off the idea that Brad had of, well, there has to be a simpler way to do this and make quality photorealistic marketing available to everyone. So I love that story. Gary, I'm really excited to kind of delve into a little bit more of the discussion about the techs that have come out, because Brad really did create such a wonderful product that so many people use, all off him thinking, how can I help innovate myself, which I think is amazing.
Yep.
So we're going to get,
yeah,
it's a time saver. It saved him time. He got to do something different as well, which is amazing. Now we're going to start today with a technology you may have heard of. I'm not 100% sure. It's called AI. It is it's a little bit of a buzzword at the moment, and really has dominated a lot of the tech headlines of 2023. So many people are apprehensive about it, but what they're apprehensive about is the true extent of what it actually does, because that is something that's kind of ongoing and as developing as time goes on, and what it does. It is so in 2022, Gary, I loved this little stat that Ellen found. $4 billion was invested into AI-powered prop tech. So it's quite a large market. Not as big as a real estate
imagine
market.
what that number is this year.
I don't even want to know. I love this quote from the Google CEO who said, AI is one of the most important things humanity is working on. It's more profound than electricity or fire. Now, I think that's a little bit dramatic, because I quite like having hot water and power. But it just really goes to show that we know that this is such a tool that is going to really dominate for years to come. Gary, a lot of people are concerned that it might replace their jobs. What's your kind of approach and thoughts on that?
It absolutely is not a job replacement. It's the key to the door. That's what AI is. AI is that thing that has conversations at scale when it would be impossible for you to reach out to every single person in your database on a regular basis as is necessary. Because what happens is you capture that lead, you try them 2 or 3 times, and then unfortunately you move on to something else because you didn't see any movement. But that doesn't mean that those 2 or 3 times, or those people that are in there that haven't replied, they didn't accidentally fall on their keyboard and type in 4-bedroom, 3-bath in Boca Raton. Like, they were intentionally looking for that. So it's about staying in front of them. And AI is that thing that has the conversations, engages them, keeps them aware, lets them know of advancements until the point that they need to have human interaction. And that is what AI is, and that's what Lofty is, and that's what Box Brownie is making sure that they're getting that information, and they're not slipping through the cracks and then leaving you to go to somebody else because they happen to be there at the right time. That's what this mitigates.
I love it. And I think what you say about AI being the key, but you still
Yeah,
have to open the door. You know, I
you
think
have to.
we have this conversation recently about like AI helps you get there without looking sweaty. Whereas like if you're doing it by yourself, you're gonna rock up looking a little bit sweaty. Maybe you've had to like bash the door down because you're missing the key. AI is the key that's gonna let you
Exactly.
open the door.
Yeah.
No one wants a sweaty real estate agent, especially if you're trying to buy like sell a many million dollar house. But yeah, I think that's such a great way of saying it. AI is the key. It's going to help you. It's going to help me take the
That's
workload off
right.
for a lot of things, but it still needs that human touch. So the ways that real estate agent professionals are using AI already, I think, are quite key and very much tie into kind of what Lofty and what Box Branding does. So
Hmm.
the first one is lead generation and nurturing. So AI is helping to do that, and Gary will touch a little bit more on that in a second. The second
Yeah.
one is property descriptions, which is kind of a little bit what we do here as well, and that's so helpful and so key to saving time. Personalized property recommendations, data-driven marketing strategies, and marketing tools and content generations. So there's a lot of ways that it's helping with the day-to-day, and honestly, a lot of this stuff isn't the fun stuff. It's the like tedious things that you don't want to do anyway. So that's amazing.
That's right. Nobody goes to college because it's fun. They go to college because they want a job they really are
Yeah,
excited about in the future. You know what I mean?
exactly.
And that's why you do this, is to set the foundation for your success. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Now, Gary, I know Lofty can draft emails and text messages for its users. Can you tell us a little bit more about how Lofty AI helps with the day-to-day tasks?
Oh my goodness. So
I
the
love that. We
Lofty,
know it's going
yeah.
to be good when he starts with, oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, you've got what, three different bullet points, but to be honest with you, they all kind of work together. You know what I
Perfect.
mean? So the first line here being instantly engage with prospects on your website. So there's Google Learning AI right on the websites. When you
Hmm.
get Lofty, you get your IDX website. And it has conversations. And what's really cool about the AI conversations is that we've trained our Google AI to be capture specific. And what I mean by that is this: everybody in this room right now has been to a website where there's a robot that has conversations with you. And generally, it will answer your question. But we're not quite like that. What I mean is, if somebody were to go onto your website and ask, do you work with VA loans? It doesn't say yes. It doesn't say yes, and here's how. It says absolutely. What's the best email address so I can send that information out to you? Because what's the most important part, Alannah? It's capturing that lead so that we can stay in front of them with all the really pretty, awesome stuff that Box Brownie's doing. Um, but if they look, they get their answer, they leave, they're going to buy from a competitor or sell with a competitor. So that's the first component there with the AI, and that's incredible. That part right there makes sure that less people are slipping through the cracks, looking and leaving. Second part is
Yeah.
automating your emails and follow up and appointment scheduling. So the
Hmm.
ability for them to, click, hey, I want to go and take a look at this home, and then it engages a conversation about what times work for them and what they can expect, who's going to be a party to the viewings, what's important for them to see. So it's setting up all those appointments and making sure that everybody is in line. And then when you do meet, that you're talking about the right things and you're taking the right actions and wowing them, because this is all about wowing. That's why Box Brownie exists. That's why Lofty exists, is to wow and engage, right? And then
Yeah.
the automated
100%.
emails, automated text messages, the chat GPT integration inside Lofty there makes it so that you can be a realtor and you don't have to be Stephen King and a novelist. You know what I mean? We'll take care of that part for you, the heavy lifting. And then
Yeah.
generate listings and blogs with AI. I'm babbling a lot. You asked me to talk about my favorite part of
No,
Lofty. So
the
I'm
blog
doing
part
it.
really like amazes me because I think that's where, you know, most people aren't natural writers. And so being able to generate a blog where you can show your expertise, and your expertise is the knowledge, it's not the writing, I think is so handy.
100%. So I've been in a sales seat in real estate marketing and CRM for over 10 years, specifically with real estate. And the number one thing I heard up until 2 years ago is, this looks amazing. I can see where the power is. I know I'd be killer if I had this thing set up, but who's writing all those dang emails? Like, Who's gonna
Yeah.
who's gonna post all that stuff on social media? I do not have time in my life for that. Well, guess what? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Box Brownie and Lofty. You know what I mean? Like that's what
Yeah.
this is all about. You know, making
It's
your life
amazing.
easier so you can sell more homes faster.
And exactly, that's what like most real estate agents do in real estate because they
Yeah.
love selling houses. They love that face to face, and this is
Exactly.
just something that like gets in their way. Gary, do you know
Mhm.
of any of the creative ways some of your customers have been leveraging your AI to connect with clients on a little bit of a deeper level?
Oh my gosh.
Any tips for people out there?
Oh my gosh, you put me on a spot here. I'll give you some examples. Are you the flower thing? Is that kind of where you're headed there?
Yeah, I
Is
think
that an idea? I
Gary
thought so.
told us a
So
wonderful story.
this is probably one of my favorite stories. So it starts out with a potential client who goes to a website, is engaged with the AI. Conversations are had between the robot human and the actual human. And then a home tour is set, and then the realtor has the conversation, and they meet in person, and they have a lovely cup of coffee, and they start showing some houses. And then through conversation, the potential buyer mentions that she loves gardening, and the realtor asks what her favorite flower is, and the lady tells her it's tulips or whatever it is. And so I'm sorry, it was stargazer lilies. I remember exactly now. So it was stargazer lilies. So she went into her Lofty system. The realtor went into the Lofty system, and this is again proof that you need human interaction. So we're not taking over, okay? We're assisting you to be more human. So
Mhm.
she went into Lofty and she put a little tag on the person's record that said her favorite flower is stargazer lily. And on the 1 year anniversary of that person getting the keys to their brand new home, it automated, Lofty automated an email to a florist in the area. And it had what she wanted the card to say, and it ordered a bouquet of stargazer lilies that were automatically shipped and charged to the card that was on account at that florist. And that was all done with her without her having to remember precisely what to do, when to do, what flower she wanted, whatever. And the lady was so overwhelmed. Not only has she sent a bunch of referrals over, but that's now a part of her daily process. When she shows homes, she always asks what the favorite flower is, and that is part of the process. And she's just known for it. And it's just that little thing, you know. And it started with the AI capture, and then the automated follow up, and knowing something personal about something that would help to move the needle and make you more, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
personable,
like
stand out.
incredible. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that is such an amazing story and such a creative
Yeah.
way of simple little thing of remembering. And you're right, that is where the human element absolutely is into it. The human has asked this, we've documented it, and then we've let AI help assist and basically do the rest. So that
Yeah.
is incredible. And the fact that she got referrals from it is amazing, but it very much goes to show that like
Right.
I know,
All of
and
it.
that's
And
if
that's you know, I'm not trying to hijack this conversation, but just
it's a
it's another, if I can step back, it's another example of why box brownie is so important too, because people eat with their eyes, right? And when you
agreed.
take the time to create marketing and images and videos and all of that other stuff with the amazing, powerful, and beautiful tools that Box Brownie provides, and you have somebody where you're trying to win the listing, in the back of their head is, why you instead of somebody else? And when you can show them, here's why, here's
Yeah.
what I do, here's how I invest in my clients to make sure you get the most money and you get it the fastest. And then if you can show them through Lofty, here's how we're going to disseminate that information and make sure that the world of social media knows about it. And we'll create the open house forums and landing pages and all the other things. And you can show them a 360 marketing view of what you're going to do to help them. And that includes Lofty's efforts to get Box Brownie's stuff out there. Like, I mean,
Yeah, it's
really,
incredible.
there are a lot of realtors right now, but there are also a lot of realtors that are leaving the business because they didn't invest properly. They didn't They didn't go along with the automated sewing machine that the Queen banned. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So you get on board or you're following, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like so many people stress when they have to, like I said earlier, write the content, lack of skills, but also, there's so much to remember. And you said investing in technology is such a big thing. So it could be whether you haven't invested in the right technology, or maybe you're spending too much time on skills or things you don't like doing.
Right.
That's where really it kind of comes into it. And like honestly, if everyone here wants to go and like and follow me on LinkedIn, you absolutely can. But like this is what I look like when I have to write a LinkedIn post or a long email. Like yeah, there's not much going on
Right.
here. And agents and property managers are masters of so many skills, but thanks to generative AI, you don't have to be a wordsmith. You don't have to have the world's best memory or the best diary keeping to make that note about the flowers and then go and action it a year later. You can use that and use the fact that you've had this wonderful idea and lean on AI. And I just, how much time do you realistically spend doing things that you don't like when there is a little bit of tech out there that does? Now, I like compare that to, say, Gary, who uses Lofty, and this is what he looks like when he writes his LinkedIn posts. Very
Exactly what
happy.
I look like.
And the computer's not even on. Like, that's how happy you are. You've done it. You've logged off for the day. But this is exactly what you'll look like when you start embracing AI.
It's exactly it. But here's the thing is, like you said, like how much time are you spending doing all these things manually? Let's be real. We're not doing it.
No.
That's the
Yeah,
problem.
100%.
It's not that we're spending a lot of time manually doing these things. It's that we're missing out on a lot of the things that we know would be helpful or we know are necessary. But because the priority is the person who wants the tour today, the follow-up for the people who aren't necessarily hot goes by the wayside. And if
100%.
you have one deal in there that you missed because you didn't follow up, that's a lot more expensive. The missed commission is a lot more expensive than what you would have spent on the systems to follow up to get that deal. You know what I mean? Like that's the missed opportunity.
Yeah, and that you're absolutely right. If it's too hard, it's probably the thing that's going to get missed the most. Like,
Yeah,
and when you
exactly.
do get busy in times of, we do have times that maybe at the moment it's a little bit more quiet than say later in the year. But
Yes.
so yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will tell you
sorry.
this though, in the United States, it's the winter. It's not the summer like we're in, down in Australia. But
Yeah,
somebody who wants to buy a house in the winter is serious about buying a house because they
yeah,
have to.
because they have to get out.
They're serious.
This is very true because it's cold and like I walked outside England and like in London today, and yeah, if I was walking outside to buy a house, it would be a very quick house tour before I
Yeah.
headed home because it was very cold.
Exactly.
Now I had the clever idea to ask ChatGPT what generative AI stood for, because I do sometimes think the definition out there is a little bit hard to understand. And honestly, I'm just going to kind of read off the first the first few letters. But generative AI is like a creative robot brain. It's a computer program that learns a bunch of examples and then comes up with its own stuff similar to what it's learned. So I think that is such a key definition to say, and really goes to show what it actually does here. So yeah, I thought that was really quite clever. So if you have any questions, go and ask ChatGPT itself, and it will actually tell you itself.
I love that.
So this actually kind of links to a little bit what we do here at boxbranding.com, which is AI copywriting. And it's a really easy way to incorporate AI into your workday. What it is, and Gary, it's pretty new, but it's tailored to real estate, the system we have developed, and it uses the most powerful AI on the market combined with your in-depth knowledge of the property and real estate expertise to craft a property description in seconds. It's also completely free, which is what we love. But if you're not doing this, I really think about the hours and yearly wages you would be spent writing listing descriptions. I likened my like day-to-day hustle of trying to write a LinkedIn post But listing descriptions can be tricky because we know that people are going to the photos, they want to understand the layout of the property, they're looking for the floor plan, maybe the virtual tour, but they're still really relying on the words of the property, especially if they're serious about buying it. So think about the time that you spend trying to start that from scratch. It might not be perfect. So basically, we like to tell everyone it's a wonderful first draft. You go in, you type out the key details, you give us key details, but it gives you something to tweak and to tailor to your language and your words without you having to worry about writer's block, which is honestly half the time. Well, anyone that goes to university or anyone that has to write anything ever, the reason why you procrastinate so much is honestly writing the draft's the worst part. Once the draft is done, then it's a little bit easier, I think, Gary.
Yeah.
From my experience at least.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's where AI copywriting is amazing, and it's completely free. So if you can pop out a good draft in a few seconds, it's just going to potentially save you a lot of time, especially if you aren't a wordsmith. Now, we have one more little, point about AI and kind of additional tools that it offers. So AI offers powerful tools for predictive market trends. So Zillow actually uses AI for its estimates to provide estimated property valuations and personalized recommendations for buyers. Gary, can you explain a little bit about what AI predictive analysis is and how it can kind of assist agents in making data-driven decisions?
Well, that's a good question. So first off, if you have Lofty, and yes, I'm going to tell you about Lofty because I love it. If you have Lofty, there's actually a home evaluation tool right on there that's going to give you the low, medium, and high value of your property. And the way it's predictive is just where the market is, how long are things, spending, what are the rates out there? Like there's so many different factors that are going to determine what the home is worth. And then also, depending on the system that you're using, like how much information you give that home evaluation tool, it can also assess that it's going to be worth more because you've done work to your kitchen or added a pool or like a bunch of different things that would also change the value, because you may have the most expensive home in a low rent neighborhood or the least expensive home in a whole neighborhood of mansions. You know what I mean? So there are going to be a lot of different things that are going to be there. But the cool thing is that AI is always on, right? It's a human, it's a non-human that doesn't sleep. So it's always doing the research necessary to determine what the low, medium, and high valuation would be. And of course, again, let's come right back down to it. It's not replacing humans, because we don't know exactly what that home is going to be worth until we get out there. And that is the point that we need to let everybody know. We want to give them a ballpark of where we think it's going to be. And because of the AI intelligence, it's going to be as close as possible until we get out there. So let's go have some coffee. Let's get to know one another. And let's get an accurate number together so that we can make you a lot of money and get you into that bigger or smaller house, depending on where your life is going.
I love that. And I love what you said about, AI doesn't sleep, but like we have to. So using things like this, you don't need much sleep, but some people, it's very scale, but you do have to sleep eventually. So using tools like AI algorithms to analyze huge amount of data. Some of the predictive ones I love, what they do is they analyze the property values, the historical sales, and the market conditions in such a very short amount of time, when it may take you hours or days. And when you're trying to win the listing and you've got a lot on the go, it very quickly adds up the time.
By the time you manually figure it out, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other thing that is really cool about AI is AI-powered chat boxes are available to help as well. So there's been huge advancements in language processing to the way they respond to customers, which are a bit more natural than they used to be. So I know when we first saw the chat boxes on like a lot of websites, you'd be like, oh, it's just no. The bots are getting a little bit better. But what chatbots can even do is they can ask questions back to the client as a method of information gathering. So then they can provide a report back to the agents. I've seen so many agents, Gary, utilizing chat boxes on their website to gather information and gather, I guess, a warmer lead. And then they wake up, oh, they've got this lead there. Again, the AI has been working overnight. They can go and enjoy their life and go to sleep.
You can figure, where do AI chat bots get their information? they scan everything available, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, the reason it's getting smarter is because it's asking questions, it's getting replies, and then
Yeah.
that's adding to its knowledge base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every time a question is asked, and then sometimes, again, human interaction needs to come in. You know what I mean? Like an example of this is I had a seller or a selling agent who had somebody ask questions about a specific property and a specific breed of dog because of county restrictions on the type of dog. It was an American pit bull. And so they wanted to make sure that if they moved in, are they inside that area where they could not have that? And because of zoning, it wasn't exact and we weren't sure. And so the human had to get involved and figure that part out. But guess what? Anybody ever ask that question again in that area? Boom, done, right?
Damn. Yeah.
It's always getting smarter.
But it's like things that you wouldn't even think of. Like I obviously spent a lot of time working in photos and working in listing descriptions and that world. Never even think about potentially buying a house in an area where a particular dog isn't allowed. So that is just like so
Right.
incredible, and it makes it a bit easier. And again, makes me think of like I went to school and Google was a thing the entire time I was at school. I don't know how people
Right.
used to do it with the books. I don't. It just you'd have to find it yourself. Google wasn't a thing. I just don't think I could have done it.
Are you kidding me? I used to go to a library and carry out 12 books. We didn't have a computer. That's how
That's a
old
big
I
no from
am.
me. It's a big no. So the next thing we want to chat about today is location intelligence, or LI, which is a bit of an extension of AI, almost like a cousin probably. But what it does is involves the analysis of various data points, including demographic, amenities, transportation, environmental factors, to gain a more comprehensive understanding of a particular area. So, Gary, how does location intelligence play a crucial role in helping real estate agents provide valuable insights to their clients?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that are important to so many different people, right?
Mhm.
So you have your basic ones like how far is it from A to B, because I live here and I work over here, and what's that commute going to look like?
Mhm.
But also what does the school area look like, or is it family friendly? Is there a lot of traffic? I have to worry about my kid riding their bike. Um, just a million different things. Is it difficult to get transportation outside of driving
Yeah.
my own vehicle? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So a lot of those things are important to people because they may find their dream house, but there is there's a non-negotiable, and you may not know that non-negotiable. So the quicker we can
Yeah.
get to that, the quicker we can avoid showing the wrong properties, or making sure to mention different things that we think a lot of people might be concerned with, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to move you to the top of the "Hey, I'd like to check that out" list. So
Yeah.
that's super important stuff.
I don't know if you ever
And
watched.
sorry, real quick, this is
Mhm.
big about uh, profiling, prospect profiling, right?
Yeah.
And that's where AI comes in as well, because as Alannah had mentioned, it's constant. The AI chat is constantly asking questions, right? And it's progressively profiling, because at first, all you want to ask for is a name and an email and a phone number. You don't want to
Mhm.
ask for 50 different things, because they're
Yeah.
less than likely to fill that out. But if you ask for 3, answer some questions, and they say, by the way, what's your, are you working with a lender? And then you answer a couple questions, then you ask, is this a single family home, or whatever it is, are you working with a down payment, so on and so forth. But we're constantly asking, like, what's the most important thing to you other than the size of the house, the location?
Yeah.
And this
Cool.
system is doing all of that for you.
Yeah. I guess I kind of liken it to I don't know if you ever watched How I Met Your Mother back in the day, but these like characters bought this house that was really close to a sewage station, and it was like they viewed the house on like the day that the sewage station wasn't like working, and so like
Right.
it didn't have a smell to it. But once they moved in, it had this awful smell to it, and that's where I think location intelligence would have been really useful, because they could have kind of canvassed the area themselves. And in the past, this type of the intelligence was only available really to the bigger businesses or governments, because that's kind of how
Yeah.
they did a lot of this surveying and zoning. So now it can be used for businesses to be able to answer questions like, where should we open our new store, and what is the potential for customers in this area? And you have those answers back in seconds. So the
That's
information
right.
is absolutely gold for real estate professionals.
Yeah.
Because what it does is it helps identify the emerging trends and investment opportunities in a matter of seconds. Any agent can quickly identify the areas of high growth or potential undervalued properties, which is, like you said, goes back to helping canvas and helping to kind of prospect new leads. It also helps, I guess, investors capitalize on untapped markets. So assess the potential business risks and opportunities. And LA has just made this predictive analysis more accessible and streamlined for us, which is what we love. And that's the best part of technological advancement, is it means that everyone or most people can afford to do it. And, once they learn, they take the time. Whereas it's a bit like architectural renders in the build spaces. Back in the day, only the big companies were doing it because they were the only ones that could afford it. So it really makes it accessible to everyone, which is what we love. And it saves you time. So we do love that.
It's fun, man. Yeah. I mean, if you're a family moving in from another state and you've got kids, you want to make sure there's going to be other kids for their children to play with. Whereas if you're a retiree couple moving down to Florida, you don't want to live next to any darn kids, right?
No.
So,
Or next to like a frat house or something that's like
it's
off
flat
limits. You're
house,
like,
exactly.
no. Exactly. And I go, do you have any, obviously, like I've asked you this before, but do you have any examples of customers that have used Lofty and incorporated location intelligence to enhance their presence online?
Oh, you know what? I can't think of an exact example like the Stargazer Lily example.
That was just such a good one. I was like, oh my gosh, maybe there's
I
another one.
know, yeah, right. But it's huge. It's just it's huge. And here's one for you. Actually, I did think of one. So as part of Lofty's website, when you go and you do a neighborhood search or you look at a particular property, it doesn't just tell you the size of the home and the amenities and that sort of thing. One of the features is it actually shows you schools in the area. And if you click on the button, it tells you the student to teacher ratio and the grade of that school and a bunch of other information. And I did have, and this wasn't somebody that I sold Lofty on. This is somebody I know that bought a home from a realtor that was using Lofty. And they said that was powerful to them because they had a child who was special needs and wanted to make sure that that school wasn't too student to teacher heavy, and that they had good special education classes. And there was a phone number provided, and got all that from the website by knowing what was closest to the house that she was looking at. So there's an
That's
example.
like incredible. Well, if
Yeah.
anyone in the chats have an amazing example of how they've utilized location intelligence and Lofty, let us know, because we love hearing these stories and we love hearing how this technology is being adapted to a day to day. But that is it's such a win-win situation for everyone. The agent can correctly, can create a more effective marketing campaign to connect with potential buyers, and the clients can have their needs and preferences catered to, which is really real estate and like being a successful agent summarized, because you want to make sure that your business is okay, but you also want to make sure you're giving people their absolute dream houses. So
Yeah.
now the next one we're going to talk about is virtual tours and kind of the video element that comes with listings. So virtual tours are such a great example of how far we've come since the days of Brad's newspaper listings. You definitely weren't getting a virtual tour back in print then.
Mhm.
And they were actually one of the tech trends, one of the main tech trends of 2023. And it definitely doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon. Virtual tours, where I think they really do shine, is that they give you an ability to almost hotspot from the house. So what it really is doing is essentially giving people an online key to the house to walk around in their own time. Instead of videos where, they are designed to be short and quick and kind of get you through with music in the background, virtual tours lets people navigate through their house in their own time and from the perspective if they were standing in there. Now, what I have on the screen is such a beautiful kitchen. I'd be quite happy if that was my kitchen. I'd probably cook a little bit more. But this is quite powerful is that you've got the person able to see that and then kind of turn to what might be behind it. Virtual tours, I think, are just really cool. And, we talked about the visual elements of the listings a little bit so far, but Realtor.com found that listings with virtual tours get a massive 87% more views. So 87% more views on your listing with a virtual tour is quite huge. It's also getting 50% more saves than static images. So people are actually saving this more, they're coming back to it more, they're viewing it more. NER reported that just over half the buyers wouldn't even consider a property if the listing doesn't include a virtual tour, which I think is it's quite a big one, that one, especially in, I think you said it's something similar earlier, Gary, that, photos and the digital element to the listing and the buying process, it is the art. It's a thing that's going to wow people.
Yeah.
People are online, they're scrolling, they're seeing thousands and thousands of different listings. There has to be something that captures their attention.
It's a selling tool for your next sale.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
is. If you can show the next potential seller what you did for the last one, and it includes this amazing virtual tour and everything else that you've done for them, that's what makes you stand out. You're not the new kid on the block who's going to throw out some flyers or door knock or whatever. Like, you're
Exactly.
going to take it to the next level because you are elite. You are great at what you do, and you're a leader in the industry. That's what it is. That's what it shows.
100%. And I think Sue just said a really good point. Rural. Sometimes people can't get out there. Sometimes they're in another country. They're buying an investment property. We have so many examples of virtual tours on properties that have led to a sale with the buyers are becoming financially invested sight unseen. So it is such a great way to get people to see it and love it before they get there. It's also an amazing way to generate warmer leads. People, if they've seen the virtual tour, they've kind of done a deep dive, they've seen a floor plan, the photos, and they're contacting you, they're going to be pretty keen. So really, most buyers still probably want the physical tour before coming to, the financial decision. I think I'd be pretty needy if I was buying a house right now. I'd be like, no, I want to see everything, but I want to see the virtual tour so I can sit in my room and figure out okay, where do I want to put my couch, everything.
Right.
But it's a really great way for both the agent to save some time and some money, as well as the customer. So it is one of those things where doing a virtual tour just really, I think, elevates your listing online. And it's just, a great way to connect with more people. So really, this one is it's one that's not going to go anywhere. We know that it's going to be really important for years to come. And so, virtual tours are definitely something that is up there as one of the main tech trends. Now, 100%. We're going to kind of end on one that I think might be new to a lot of people. It was definitely newer to me when we started having this conversation, which is the world of digital twins. Now, Gary, I think we were both in this where it was a little bit newer to us. But what digital twins are, for those of you who don't know or haven't heard of it, it's a digital twin is a replica of a real world object. So in the case of real estate, it would be the house, building, you name it, would be the real world object. And then using data sources and sensors from other source, we're creating its digital twin. It does sound a bit complicated, don't worry. It did take me a few times to kind of wrap my head around this one. But basically what it does is it's meant to monitor and optimize the performance of the physical object through this digital twin. So basically the sensors are capturing unprocessed raw information, and then data is all being processed in the background, and the information is then delivered to the person running it. So it could be a property manager, multiple homeowner, so then they can then go and access it and give feedback. Or if it's potentially because something's been damaged, you can then go and get it fixed from there. So it's pretty cool, Gary. I think it's a newer.
So here's what I'm thinking. You ever see Zoolander?
Of course. I'm going to try and
pose. They're building a library and they give him a little model and he's like, what is that, a library for ants? And he goes, so basically the digital twin is like that model, but of course on your computer, but with the added benefit of knowing, like Alannah was saying, if something is damaged or if there's a plumbing problem or something like that. So if your real estate group or your endeavors have anything to do with new builds or property management, tons of opportunity there too. So that's 100%. A really cool thing. And that's just it's going to be so much more. But like she mentioned, we're both new to this too. I mean, new technology isn't new to just you guys. It's new to us too. This is so new, it's new to us.
It is, I think, and looking at this, in 2019, it was a $3.8 billion industry. And by 2025, it's predicted to be $35.8 billion. So that is just something that's huge in itself. And digital twins at the moment are most often used in manufacturing and industrial settings. But they are kind of due to COVID was starting to get used a bit more in real estate industry. I think that's probably why we were sheltered a little bit from kind of knowing this too much. But it has huge advantages for building owners as they're able to keep tabs on the building and upkeep without having to physically there, which obviously during COVID was a massive advantage. But it also gives some peace of mind for properties that might sit empty. Say you've got 2 properties, or maybe you've got one that is empty at the moment because it's still under renovation. So really you're able to get real-time information on damage or crime. So developers are monitoring building and assets and identifying potential issues that can also help form strategic direction. So it is very much possible that one day a 3D twin of a home could be used remotely to monitor and maintain any maintenance, which is, I think, pretty cool. But again, what it's meant to do is help to eliminate the unnecessary need for travel for property managers, etc. So it's pretty cool. I think it's a space to watch, and the predictions of what could come from that.
That we all need that we didn't know we needed.
We didn't know we needed, and you know what? You will have watched this and be like, Gary and Alannah from Box Brownie and Lofty told me this. I'm going to go back and watch this, and there'll probably be so many technological advancements that most of what we said might not be right, but what we're saying is it's one to watch. It's going to give comprehensive insight into the real life property. It's going to help with real estate marketing and real estate development. So fun times to be had. But I think the one thing we really need to probably circle back to is, what do you think the biggest limitation and challenges are at the moment, Gary, for the technology that's coming?
The stuff that's coming?
Or just the stuff that's here, that stuff that's coming that people might be feeling at the moment?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, intellectual property rights, that's huge for people who are, in the graphic design space or copywriting space or writing space or any of that. So there's a lot of fears out there on that. And carbon emissions, I don't know.
Well, I guess the main ones that we kind of identified was like the societal risks, which I think has been some of the bigger coverage about ChatGPT and generative AI. From that, how do we mitigate those potential risks, as well as how do we protect the labor market from shock of, if there are these replacements, we need to be able to find replacements for other things. But I think the big one that real estate agents would absolutely be feeling right now is the potential for them to be replaced. And real estate isn't a financial transaction. It requires something technology cannot fully emulate. So like AI cannot emulate the human element. It's just not something. You will not be replaced. You need your advice, you need your financial knowledge, you need your legislation knowledge, you need everything else that comes with
your
being a real estate agent.
skills. Your persuasive skills.
Humor.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything.
Your history, what have you seen happen in the past that you can help other people avoid? What potholes did they drive into, and you could tell them where to steer around them? That's AI is not going to know, how to overcome those little things like that.
Exactly. So that is something we want to say, that these technologies are beautiful and amazing at making sure that you are able to get back to the things you love, or maybe you're able to actually fit your work week into, the 9 to 5, so you can actually go home and have time with your family. But it's not to say that it's going to replace you at all. But that kind of brings us to the end of the first step that we wanted to talk about. And, Gary, thank you so much for being with us today. Embracing change is not easy for everyone, but we kind of know that this change is upon us. We know that there's a lot more to come, and 2024 is going to be super interesting for that. But you've taken the first step in kind of educating yourself on what is available right now and kind of what is to come. So I have a wonderful link here. I see people in the chat asking about Lofty. So you guys can scan this QR code here, and that will take you to the Lofty website. We can learn a little bit more about the partnership with boxbrownie.com and how to save on Lofty, which was super exciting. Thanks for joining us today, Gary. I feel like we got to the bottom of a few tech things.
I think you're my digital twin. I think
Oh
that's
my
what you
God.
want.
Yes, I love
Maybe
that.
not. Yeah, you don't want to look like me or be this old. But I will say that I saw some questions
No.
in there. Yeah,
Mm.
if you scan this, we'll get you some more information about Lofty, and you can talk to one of our team members, or we can do a full demo for you, or whatever questions you have, we'll answer those. How do we work with Box Brownie was one of those questions. Like I said, Box Brownie's the artist, and we're the gallery. So when you're creating these amazing video tours or images, what is it, Data Dusk? Is that what it's called?
That is one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Or the property cleanup or staging or whatever tools you're using that Box Brownie has, you need to get that information out to people. And we're going to do just that. And we're going to automate that process so you don't have to manually do it, or heaven forbid, forget about it. And then our integration with LinkedIn and Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, and Facebook and Google My Business and YouTube. You can take all that beautiful, beautiful art from Box Brownie and you can show the world on all the major platforms. Lots of different things you can do there.
Lots
That's
of
how
fun days coming.
if you
I
already
also,
have Lofty, you can find Box Brownie in our marketplace under preferred partners. And you can click on it and you can add Box Brownie. And if it's the other way around, like I said, you can scan this code here and find out more about Lofty and see if it's a good fit for you so that you don't miss out on somebody that ends up going somewhere else.
exactly. Yeah, I also have a link here as well. So if you haven't signed up to Box Brownie before and you're a Lofty customer, you can scan that link and get some credit to start. But it would be very much remiss of me not to end this webinar saying thank you. So thank you, Gary, so much for joining us. Thank you to you guys for joining us. And thank you to our wonderful team at Box Brownie, made up of our marketing team, Ellen particularly, for helping us put this content together.
Thank you,
I
Ellen.
know a lot about tech, but I'm not that on it. So digital twins was probably not something that would have slid across my desk. So thank you, Ellen, for everything you did. And we really do hope you have a wonderful and safe holiday period, everyone. So thank you guys so much for joining us. You will get the recording and the links that were on their QR codes probably tomorrow. We'll email you out. But yes, thank you again. And thank you, Gary. You're so wonderful and so funny. So
Thank you. And peace, and be kind to one another, and have a wonderful new year.
and everyone, I hope you get a break. So thank you so much, guys. Have such a wonderful day.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Okay, I think we're done.
No, we're done.
Stop.